Hello everybody, it's Matt. Thought I'd make a video. I took the day off. So first off, I hope that everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Everybody in the parts world that celebrates that anyway. I hope that you have someone in your life to share it with and that you had a good day and ate lots of food and had a lot of fun. So yeah. Anyway, what I thought I'd talk about was Black Friday Record Store Day, which I just got back from. Went out to the record store this morning and did some running around errands and just got back. So, I don't know. I just not feeling it this year. And that includes the record store day, the regular one back in April. I, part of it, big part of it that plays into it is probably this just hadn't been a great couple of years for me for reasons totally unrelated to anything record collecting. But, so I got the April list, and that's the first time. I didn't go to the first one, but I've been from the second one up to now, all of the record store days. And I got the list back in April, and there just really wasn't anything on there that got me excited or caught my attention. So I went ahead and went to Record Store Day back in April, but I didn't show up early and stand in line and all that like I had done before, which people gripe and complain about. But I kind of like the stand in line thing because at the record store I go to, tend to see a lot of the same people every year. So people kind of hang out and shoot the bull and have fun. And while they're waiting for the store to open, people show up with donuts and coffee and all that good stuff. So it's kind of a neat little once a year get together or something. But anyway, I didn't see anything on the list that I liked back in April. A couple of things that I thought maybe that'd be fun to have, but I really can do without them. So I went to the store. I went late. I figured since there wasn't really anything I wanted, it didn't matter what was picked off or not. But looked around through the record store day stuff and kind of considered a couple of things, but ended up not getting them. I did get 3 or 4 records that are just regular records, not record store day related things. So some good pickups, Beach Boys, John Lennon, and Prince album, I think it was. So come Black Friday record store day, and I, be totally honest with you, just sort of kind of forgot about it and thought about it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just thought, oh yeah, Black Friday record store day. Maybe the list should probably be out by now. So I went to the record store day site, and sure enough, it was out. And I brought up the list and looked through it, and same thing again. There just wasn't. There were some things on there that looked like it'd be cool to have, but I don't know. There were a couple of things that I kind of wanted. So I went ahead and went to the store today. Wasn't as much of a crowd as usual. Of course, this one's Friday. Regular record store day is on Saturdays, but I don't know where record store day is going because I looked at YouTube when I got back, and usually the day of record store day or Black Friday record store day, you see a lot of videos of people. Here's what I got for RSD. I don't see any of them up here yet, but of course, a lot of people might have had to go to work today. I usually we're open. I just always take the day off after Thanksgiving as a vacation day there. But anyway, um, don't see any videos, and there wasn't much of a crowd. And I was went to Doc's Records in Fort Worth, and was kind of talking to the owner because some of the when I got there, there were maybe only like 5 or 6 people in line in front of me. And the store didn't open until 11, and I got there at about. I thought they opened at 10. I got there about 10:30, and so there weren't a whole lot of people in front of me. And people were going through the line, and he has them all laid out alphabetically, so it makes it easier to get to what you want. People were asking, do you have such and such a record? And he goes, no, no, just what I got there is what I got. And he said he didn't order as much this year. He still had a pretty good selection of stuff, but he said that he's got like $10,000 worth of record store day stuff from RSD's past that didn't sell on that day, and you can't return them to the record company. He said, and so they're kind of hard to sell after that. He said, people want them on that day, and then after that, they were really not that interested in them. So, he's kind of scaling back on what he's buying. Um, The one that I really wanted was Otis Redding live at the Whiskey A Go Go, which they didn't order and didn't have, unfortunately. Checked Record Town, they didn't get it. That's the other Fort Worth store. And then there's some other stores around outside of Fort Worth, but I didn't feel like driving around to Grand Prairie and God forbid Dallas and all that. So if I track it down someday, I'll track it down. If I don't, life will go on, I figure. But then there was another one that I wanted that they did have, and I'll show you that. This isn't going to be a very kind of an anticlimactic video, I think. But so I ended up getting one record store day record, and I ended up getting one regular non-record store day record, basically. So if that's what you're waiting for, you can go ahead and turn off the video now, I guess. I looked at, they didn't have Otis. I looked at considered the Bob Dylan live at the concert in England, and kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, I wish I would have picked that up, but again, I can track it down someday, you know, live at the Albert Hall, I think it is. And then there was a thing called The Regrets, some kind of new band that have a Christmas 45 out version, their version of Marshmallow World. I was kind of hoping that would be there. I'd like to pick that up. They're, I saw them on the record store day list and looked them up just out of curiosity of who they are, and saw some of their videos. And they're kind of a girl group that's a little bit of a mix of an 80s girl group and a 60s girl group, kind of just cute little pop songs. Nothing earth-shaking, but I heard a couple of their songs. They're okay. So I always like to get something Christmas related, so I thought I'd get that, but they didn't have that. There's another one called, excuse me, there's another one called Jazz Dispensary, which are Christmas jazz tunes, an album of Christmas jazz songs, music, and they didn't have that. So that's kind of what I wanted. Considered the Bob Dylan, didn't get it. Looked at the Frank Sinatra 45 of White Christmas, which was kind of cool. It's White Christmas backed with something something Christmas. I don't remember what's on the flip side, another Christmas song. And I considered it, but it was $10.98, and I'm not going to pay $11 for a 45. Besides that, I've got the Sinatra Christmas album. It's got White Christmas. I'm pretty sure it has the other Christmas song too. So what I did get, reach down here and grab this, and this one is something for me that's kind of cool to have, more than something that I'll probably listen to very often. Sticking with the Beach Boys theme, Becoming the Beach Boys, and you can kind of look at that if you want to read that. This got an insert. It's kind of neat. There's some information about what this record's all about. There's some pictures of tape boxes and the early 45s on the Candix label and X label before they were on Capitol. They put out their first 45 surfing before Capitol signed them. And the album itself is, the version I got is kind of a, what's that, a gold or a orange vinyl. So that's pretty nice. I think it came, it's a random, I think they had a orange, red, blue, and green vinyl copies, so you just get what you get. So what this is before they put their first 45 out, which was Surfing, and then of course got signed to Capitol Records pretty soon after that. But before all that, they made up demo tapes of songs, and that they were going to take around to different record labels to shop around to try to get signed to a label. So this has Surfing, of course, and I think it's on here a couple of 2 or 3 times. These are early versions. These aren't the released versions. These are just kind of demos or early takes. So you got Surfing Take 5. You've got Luau, which I think was the flip side of Surfing. You have to look that up. But you got a couple of takes of that. Some early takes of Surfing Safari. And some early takes of Surfer Girl, which wasn't one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. But I'm kind of interested, curious to see how the early demo version sounds compared to what was released. But it's that of course wasn't released until their third album. And then there's a couple of songs that they did on here that were not released. There's also 2 or 3 songs that were recorded by Kenny and the Cadets, which is sort of the Beach Boys, but not really. What that was a band. As far as the people playing the instruments, they weren't the Beach Boys. They were someone else, and someone else wrote the songs. But for whatever reason, the record producer guy got Brian to sing lead on one of the songs, and on another song he got Brian to sing lead, and Carl and Al Jardine, and oddly enough Brian Wilson's mom sing backup, and those were released as a single by Kenny and the Cadets, which of course went absolutely nowhere, and probably a pretty pricey collector's item nowadays, but these are early takes of that. So this will be kind of an interesting listen a time or two. I'm not expecting too much of this. I'm expecting just sort of early versions of some of the stuff that went on their first album. Their first album's pretty good. It's not as good as the Beatles' first album or the Rolling Stones or the Kinks' debut, but it's a pretty good one. But I'm thinking these are kind of rough versions of some of that stuff. So more of a curiosity than something I'll probably listen to very often. But it's kind of neat to have. And it was, this came out on DVD. This came out on CD earlier this year. I think the vinyl version for Record Store Day is the sole vinyl release of it, this limited edition. And I forgot to look to see how limited it is. The other thing I got was, I just looked around at some of the regular records, and Beach Boy related too, so it's an all Beach Boys Record Store Day. It's a copy of the Beach Boys Love You, their 1977 album. And I needed this one because I'm doing those Beach Boys reviews. And they had this one, and it's a pretty nice copy, and it was only $7. So I figured, go ahead and pick that up. There's the back cover. And then, of course, you got the inner sleeve, which has some neat pictures of the band. There's a picture of Brian Wilson on the back there. And there's the album. So that's about it. I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't know if my apathy towards Record Store Day this year is all because of just having had a not great last couple of years here, or if it's just that they're just not much on the list that excite me. So maybe in April, when the next Record Store Day comes around, there'll be a list full of stuff that I really want to get, and so I'll be a little more excited about it. But I'm thinking maybe it's kind of run its course or gone into the overkill stage by this point, where started out, I remember going to the second Record Store Day. I thought it'd been around a little longer than that. I didn't realize till later that it was only the second year of it. And I just went because I wanted to see what it was, and the store that I went to had bands playing and so forth, and just thought it'd be kind of fun to go see what it was. And I saw the stuff about the special releases, or the list, or whatever you want to call it, and they had some up there, and they didn't have as much back then as they do now when they've got several hundred on the list. And kind of flipped through them and thought, yeah, that's kind of neat, but I didn't buy anything off of it. I did the second year and every year after up until this year, but and I think the point of Record Store Day originally was because it's kind of before the whole vinyl revival, was to help out independent record stores, which were, kind of in danger of going away. And so the special releases weren't really the cake. They were just the frosting on the cake. They were just sort of a loss leader to get you into the record store, that hopefully you'd buy some of those. But the main point was that hey, record stores are great, and come back more often than just that once a year, and that you buy some of their regular records. And then I think somewhere in there it kind of got a little too commercialized, and the point became the special releases more than the original intention of the holiday, I guess, or event, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. 2 Beach Boys albums. We'll see if anyone else got anything worthwhile. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that the owner said that he's got 10 grand of old Record Store Day stock sitting around that he's trying to get rid of. So, which is, like I'd said before, when people gripe and complain about price gouging on eBay and stuff, I've always said, well, don't buy it, because if you're dumb enough to go spend $100 for a record the next day on eBay, you got really no one to blame but yourself. But I don't buy or sell stuff on there record store day related. I haven't really bought or sold anything on eBay in about years, but I like I said before, I've noticed that you'll see records on there right after record store day selling for, you know, 50, 80, $100. You go check those same records 6 months, a year, 2 years later, and they're really not selling. If they are, they're selling for 10, $20. So if there's something that you absolutely were dying to get and your store didn't have it and you couldn't find it, you're not going to die if you don't get it today. Just wait 6 months, wait a year. Might end up buying it for less than your store would have charged you for it anyway. But don't go out there and spend $100, or do. I mean, it's your money. Do what you want to do. But I was saying, it's kind of silly to do that, and it's kind of silly to bitch about people doing it because, you know, if they can get $100 and they can find someone dumb enough to pay it, more power to them. But anyway, hope everybody is a great Christmas season ahead. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in a bit.